TV viewers, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to EBC World with me, Shfarao Lagao. And do stay with us as I take you through our selected brief updates. But first, the top story. November 4, 2020, the night of the brutal attack against ENDF, remembered. Now, President Sahle-Work Zewde received the UN Population Fund UNFPA Executive Director Natalia Kanem. The UNFPA Executive Director briefed President Sahle-Work Zewde on the work of the fund focusing on maternal health, children and women in Ethiopia. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, in collaboration with UNFPA, held the first meeting of the Lancet Commission in Addis Ababa. She added that Ethiopia was chosen because of its experience in the health sector. For her part, the president reminded that UNFPA has been in Ethiopia for 50 years and expressed her conviction that it will grow stronger. Meanwhile, President Sahle-Work Zewde also had talks with the Finland Red Cross Board chairperson Eli Aaltonen. Ethiopia's quest to have access to the sea will play a vital role to expedite regional integration among countries in the Horn of Africa. That's according to a veteran diplomat and international relations scholar. The veteran diplomat Ambassador Teruna Zena stated that Ethiopia has been demanding access to sea for a long period of time. Ethiopia this time made the demand based on the principle of give and take, as well as shared benefits that have been in practice in the contemporary diplomacy. The diplomat also stated that a diplomatic endeavor based on shared benefits and the principle of give and take is instrumental to strengthen regional integration. He further stressed the need to work together with a view to realizing Ethiopia's quest for access to sea. The nation requires a port that can shoulder the rapidly growing economy. And now going to business stories, the Ethiopian Shipping and Logistics ESL announced that it has earned more than 13 billion birr in the first quarter of the current Ethiopian fiscal year. ESL confirmed that it transported some 971,438 tons of import cargo and more than 200,000 tons of export cargo by sea during the quarter. It was also mentioned that 29,557 containers and 1,400 vehicles were delivered to domestic dry ports and customs licensed warehouses through a multimodal system. Some 832,070 tons of import cargo and 83,662 tons of export cargo were transferred through the unimodal transport system, ESL data indicates. It was also indicated that a total of 104,659 containers were provided at ports and terminals during the quarter. Moving on, the Ethiopian Airlines, Africa's largest airliner, has today inaugurated a substation built with an outlay of $9 million. The power substation, which took 2.5 years, has the capacity of carrying 40 megawatts of electricity and stores 2 transformers. Board members of the Ethiopian, its chief executive officer, CEO of the Ethiopian Electric Service, and other senior officials of the airliner attended the ceremony. Addressing the gathering, CEO of Ethiopian Airlines Group, Mesfin Tasew, said the airliner's flow of work was heavily affected by power outage, given the member of the Star Alliance did not have its own electrical power station in the past.
Mercy tribe of southern Ethiopia. እምነት አልባነት ምስሉ ተሸጎረ ውሻ
Welcome back. Now, November 4, 2020 will be remembered as the day on which the most savage crime was committed by a homegrown group in an attempt to annihilate the Northern Command of the Ethiopian Defense Forces. The barbaric act inflicted on the Federal Army in midnight on restive hours of the officers was the most conspicuous and treasonable offense against Ethiopia. Jerusalem Batia takes us back to what happened on that day. Have a listen to this.
The Northern Command of the Ethiopian National Army has been stationed in Tigray State since 1998 following the outbreak of the Ethio-Eritrean War and has lived closely with the people of Tigray for 22 years. This huge force takes a large share of Ethiopia's armed defense, both in terms of manpower and equipment. As it was autumn in November 2020, when the army was helping in gathering the farmers' crops and chasing away the swarm of locusts, that a plot hatched by the TPLF came like a backstabbing. On that fateful midnight, the TPLF was organizing this brutal massacre of the officers of the Northern Command of the NDF for over 2 years. The Kauradik massacre was carried out with support from foreign actors bent on destabilizing the whole country and dismantling the duly constituted government of Ethiopia. The social implication of the treasonous attack was quite visible, as it was meant to nurture a spirit of animosity and hatred among the peoples of Ethiopia. But it never happened, despite the scars the attackers have left on Amhara and Afar people by massacring civilians, raping women and children in front of spouses, mothers or children. The people of Tigray are indebted to the NDF, which was not only protecting the region but was also conducting development programs, which included construction of schools, clinics, social service centers and other development projects. When drought hit Tigray over the last 2 decades in which the NDF operated in the region, all units of the Northern Command donated food and financial support for drought-stricken districts in Tigray. They were assisting the farmers to harvest their crops and fought against the swarms of locusts that plagued the region over the last 3 years. What are the legal implications of the attack? In the first place, it was a gross violation of the constitution of the country, which provides in Article 87, sub-Article 3, the armed force shall protect the sovereignty of the country and carry out any responsibilities as may be assigned to them under any state of emergency. By any level of inference, the attack was therefore an attack on the sovereignty of the country, implying that it was a deliberate attack on the statehood of the country and is therefore the highest form of treason ever to be conducted on the country. This attack was a crime that subjected the country and prepared the ground for any level of the violation of the territorial integrity of the country, making it vulnerable to foreign attack and pillage of the resources of the country. While the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country was at stake due to the 3 rounds of war that was waged by the armed group on the people of Ethiopia, the gallant defense force of the NDF and Ethiopians fought shoulder to shoulder and inch by inch to ensure the peace and safety, territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country. Accordingly, NDF reserved the imminent threat posed on the country and dismembered it. November 4, 2020 marked the massacre conducted by a local terrorist group that was out to fund regional war in Africa. This day shall indeed be remembered in how ENDF preserved the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country through blood. Sons and daughters of Ethiopia have fallen for their motherland.
And finally, Paul Misford came to Ethiopia as a Peace Corps volunteer 60 years ago, where he spent 2 years as a teacher along with his wife. Our Meet EBC host Tafarra Gadamo first met him back in 2008 in Washington, D.C. Misford reflects quite a lot during the conversation, mostly dwelling on his stay in Ethiopia and his experience. Have a listen to this.
Thought we discovered Ethiopia in the 19th century. But of course, Ethiopia had never been lost. It had always been part of the Red Sea trade going back to the Bible. Of course, living like that and seeing it like that was almost like being back in the Bible days. The people wore the clothing of that time. They dressed for the climate as they always had. They experienced the climate like they always had, and this sense of trade and commerce that Massawa represented was really made an impression on me in terms of what I was experiencing, what Ethiopia had always been about.
Well, dear viewers, with that we come to the end of today's news. Thanks a lot for watching us. Bye-bye.